Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm gonna show you how to create this fully procedural Minecraft shader. And not just one, but 3 different versions. Grass, dirt, and in my opinion the most interesting one, a dirt cube with a grass cap on top. You might say, wait a minute Alex, why make it procedural if you can easily draw in Photoshop using the pencil tool? I'll tell you this, once you make it procedural, you'll have an infinite number of unique textures with just one click, because you'll be able to generate a new version simply by changing one parameter, faster than you can finish this delicious cheesecake. Okay, let's go. So let's start with the default cube, and the first thing we do, we go to edit mode by pressing tab, select all the vertices and go to the top projection, and make a scale of 0.5 so our cube is exactly 1 unit in size. I'll move it here and up a little so one corner is exactly at 0 coordinate. Now we'll go to the unit scene settings and change the unit system to known, so it shows all units in units, not meters. I think it's much more convenient this way. And now we can finally change our material. Let's go to the materials tab and rename our material to ground. I'll put this lock on so we don't accidentally lose it. I'll split the screen into 2 parts. In this window I need the shader editor. There are already 2 default nodes here, and the first node that I need is a texture. I'll go to texture and select the Voronoi texture. And now I need converter color ramp. I will connect the color output of Voronoi texture with the factor input of the color ramp, and the color output of the ramp with the base color input of the shader. Let's switch to the render preview so we can see what our shader looks like. It doesn't look very much like pixels yet. To fix this, I'll go back here and reduce the randomness to 0, so all the cells become square. Now it looks like Minecraft pixel texture. We remember that in Minecraft the texture size is 16 by 16 pixels, so I'll also change the scale to 16. And now we got our texture exactly 16 pixels in width and height, but we see that they are shifted here a little. I'll fix it so they stand exactly at the corners. To do this, we go back to shader editor and add a new input texture coordinate node and vector mapping. Connect UV output of texture coordinate node with mapping vector input and mapping node with the vector input of Voronoi texture. And we see that they become bigger. Yes, and this is because our UV mapping is incorrect. Let's go to the UV editor and see what's going on there. I select all the faces and we see that they're unwrapped like this. This is not what we need. We want each plane to take the whole space of UV area. And to do this, I'll press U and pick reset here. And now you can see that everything is fine, but the shift still remains. Let's go back to the shader editor and now we'll move the texture. I'll go here where is the X field and I will enter minus 0.031. And we see that it's already in place vertically. Now I'll enter the same thing in the Y field. And it seems like everything is in place. But I'll also write the same value in the Z field for a good measure. So, we already have something that looks like a Minecraft cube, but unfortunately it's black and white. Now we need to change the color here using color ramp. We can see how it's changing, but it changes smoothly. But that's not what I want. To make it look like a real pixel art, we need to change interpolation mode here to constant. And now it looks like this. Let's add more colors. I've already written out all these colors for me and now we'll write them out. The very first color is 59 3D29, and you can see that black dots have turned brown. We take the second color and set it to 0.25 and write 79553A. The white has turned to a lighter brown. Let's add another point and set it to 0.5 and write 966C4A. Next point. These will be pebbles. And I write 87, 87, 87 for a grey color, and I'll position it at 0.75. And let's add one more point for darker pebbles. I'll put it somewhere around here in the middle. 6C, 6C, 6C. Okay, looks beautiful. You could say we've made a procedural shader for the ground, but let's add one more point here. Make it a little lighter. Like this. Now this looks more like Minecraft ground. Just a few pebbles and lots of dirt. Okay, this is how we'll leave it. I'll save it just in case. Next, we'll make the grass shader in the same way, only with different colors. We can reuse the same shader we just made. Make a copy of the cube and move it along the y-axis so it stands next to it. And let's also make a copy of this shader. I'll call it grass and I'll also lock it so I don't accidentally delete it. Okay, and now we have to change this color ramp that we have in shader editor. And you see, when I move this point, only the copy is changing. It means that we can easily change the colors here. Select the first point, and this will be 50, 90, 26. Now select the second point. I'll place it at 0.1. And the color will be 5F, 9F, 35. The next point is 0.25. Color 6C, AC, 42. The next point is 0.45. 76, B6, 4C. Next one is 0.7. This one will be 7E, BE, 54. And the last one will be 0.85. Color 97, C6, 67. And that's how we got the grass shader very fast and easy. And now I will show you how to change the pattern of these pixels so it doesn't repeat like the old shader. For this, go back to the shader editor and change the rotation of the mapping node right here. And you see it's a completely different pattern. When I rotate it, it immediately changes pixels on the surface. You can do the same along the z-axis as well. But you need to do this incrementally, so there are no torn pixels. Here comes the hardest part. Now we'll make a shader where we'll mix both grass and ground through the mask. Just before that, for convenience, I'll group the shader we just made so we have a separate node. For that, I'll select all the nodes we have here with a box select and press Ctrl G, and now we've entered the group. If I press Tab, we exit the group, and now you can see that we have the small node for the shader group. I'll call it grass. I'll also lock it so it doesn't get lost. I'll resize it to make it smaller a bit. Now we have to do the same with the ground shader. I also select everything with the box select. Ctrl G and Tab to exit. Call it ground and save it too. So now we have two such simple shader groups. Grass and ground. Okay, let's save. And now we'll make the third shader. I will make a copy of the cube with the ground shader. Let's move it along the y-axis so it also stands nearby. In the material settings, I'll add another slot and put grass shader here. Let's go to the edit mode. I'll select the top face and assign grass to it. And now we have such a grass cap. The only thing I see is that the ground here is quite reflective, and I'll fix this now. To do this, I'll go to shader settings here and set its roughness to 1. And we will do the same for the grass shader as well. Open the shader settings and set the roughness to 1. Now they shouldn't reflect anything. So what do we need now? We need to add another slot for the material and assign ground here. But it won't be just ground. I'll make a copy of the ground shader here and call it ground plus grass. Like this. And I will also lock it so we don't lose it. Now I'll go to edit mode and select all the side faces. And let's assign our new shader to them. But nothing has changed because in fact that's the same ground material we had before. But now here in shader editor we'll work with these nodes. And the first thing we need is to make color come out of the ground node. We'll have only one shader, so we don't need this BSDF node anymore. So I'll open the group node settings and delete it from the group sockets. And we don't need this shader node here either. Now here I will add the shader principal BSDF. Okay, now we connect the sockets and set roughness back to 1. Very good. Now we'll do the same with the grass nodes. For grass we also need only color and not BSDF. I'll erase the node and also the extra socket. Let's exit the node and add shader principal BSDF. Roughness to 1. Connect the color and BSDF to surface input. Okay, there is grass and we have the ground left. You see it's completely black. That's because we changed the node but we didn't fix the shader. I'll also add the principal BSDF shader here. Connect the sockets and roughness also to 1. Okay, now it works again. Let's go back to ground plus grass. We will mix 2 shaders. For this I will free up some space here and put the grass node. We'll draw the grass over the ground. To do this we need to add color, mix color node here. We connect the ground to the first input and the grass to the second because it will be above. Okay, and now with this factor slider we can control the mixing of 2 shaders. We can already see it, right? At 0 we see the ground and at 1 we see the grass. But we also need some kind of mask here to cut off all the grass at the bottom and leave only a small piece at the top. So we need this mask to control the value of this factor. Where there is white on the gradient we'll have grass and where is black we'll have ground. Let's start by adding the gradient texture node here. And we also need converter color ramp. We connect the color output to the factor of the color ramp and color of the ramp to the blending factor. And we see that the gradient is not going in the right place, it's on the side and rotated 90 degrees. To fix this we need another vector mapping node. We connect the vector output to the vector input of the gradient texture and we also need texture coordinates node. And let's take UVs. Now our gradient is correct, but we want a sharp transition here. Currently it looks smooth. To fix this we go to our color ramp node and change interpolation to constant. And move the white slider to the middle. And we got the exact hit on the pixel right in the middle. Grass on top and earth below. But we want to make a smooth transition and make some kind of noise of pixels here. How can we do this? Let's start by combining all these nodes into one group, but not a node group. We'll make a frame layout here, so we don't get confused by lots of nodes. Let's move these nodes inside of the frame, and I'll change the label to the solid fill. Oh, I wrote it in the wrong place. Here, solid fill. Now, what's next? For the noisy transition with the pixels, we need the same texture we used for the ground and grass. So let's add texture, Voronoi texture. Set scale 16, randomness to 0 so we have all the same square pixels. Now the converter color ramp. Connect the color to the factor. Change the interpolation mode to constant, and our white point will be at 0.4. And we also need a vector mapping node here. Connect UV to it. And here in location we need to write the same values we wrote with other textures so pixels stick to the corners without any gaps. I'll add another frame to combine these nodes. Move them to the frame. And the label will be noise. Okay, it looks good. We need to clean it up a little here. Now I'm planning to add even more nodes to make a smooth transition. Let's go to texture, gradient texture, and converter color ramp. Connect the sockets and also change interpolation to constant. Set the point at 0.25. But no, not black. It needs to be white. Okay, now one more vector mapping node. Also connect the UVs. And one more frame. Move the nodes inside. This will be our fade group. Now we'll mix it all together. For this we need color, mix color node. I'll make 2 copies at once. First we'll mix with fade. And fade will hide all the extra noise for us. To make it paint over it, we need to change blending mode to multiply and set factor to 1. And now we'll mix noise and solid fill. Noise will be drawn over the solid fill, and we need the additive blending mode. And now what we got, we connect to the factor input of the mixer of our shaders. Okay, and this is how it looks like. Now I will show you how it works. If I go down here and move the slider, you can see how it moves the border of the grass. We had a value of 0.25. But in Minecraft, this border between grass and ground is much higher, so I want to move it up a little. And for this, now we'll add some parameters to our shaders. I want to clean up here a little bit. All of this can be combined into one group, and let's leave the group. I call it grass mask. And lock it. Okay, now we have grass mask here. We'll edit this group and add more properties to it. It's right time to save it. So, let's go to the group settings. We're interested in group input node right here. In the right top corner, let's open group settings. Let's add a new input. This input will be called solid offset. I will leave it float with default value of 0. And let's add another input. This one will be fade offset. One more input for Z offset to control everything together. So one parameter to move solid offset and fade offset at once. So now we have 3 inputs to modify the UV coordinates. To do this, let's go here and add converter separate XYZ node. I'll connect UVs to it to separate vector for 3 values for each axis. And now we need converter mask node through which we'll add some offset to X coordinate. Connect X to the first value and connect Z offset to move all these coordinates at once. And now we need to combine everything back together. Let's add combine XYZ, connect value to X, and Y and Z remain unchanged. So we just pass them through. And now we can take this vector and connect it to each mapping node. Here and also bottom one. Now let's leave the group and see what our parameter is affecting. This is how it moves it. You see, with one parameter we can move our mask higher or lower. But it slightly misses the pixels. Here, if I zoom in, you can see that it was cut off a little. So we have to tweak it manually. Just need to find the right value. Maybe 0.36. No, it overshoot. Maybe 3.75. Here, 3.75 hits exactly. Okay, let's go back. What do we have left here? We have solid and fade offset. These parameters will control the transition boundary between the ground and the grass. Let's add one more combine XYZ node. We connect the solid offset to X, and the rest remains at 0. We'll connect the solid offset to the location socket of our solid fill group. And now let's see what it controls. You can see that solid offset parameter is controlling solid fill border. I will return it to 0. Now let's make a copy of this combine XYZ node. Connect fade offset to the X input and connect vector output to the location of the fade group. Let's check how it works. And fade offset now controls the width of the gradient transition. We just need to find the right value so we don't have the gap here. 4.35. Well, just a little more. 4.37. No, we need a little more. Okay, and that's it. Now it fits. But I'll put it back to 0 because I like it better this way. Now the simplest part remains. Here, in this place where the grass and the ground touch, in the original Minecraft there is a small shadow on the texture. So let's make it. And in fact it will be very easy to do. Because we already have all the necessary nodes. We will reuse the same grass mask node. And it's very convenient, so we don't have to rebuild this huge network of nodes. We will simply make a copy of it. And based on this copy I will make a shadow. So what is the easiest way to do it? I think we can draw a different color on the separate layer between ground and grass. For this I will add another color mix node here. I'll put it right here in the middle. And now we make a copy of the grass mask. And I will immediately connect it to the factor. So we can see what's happening, I will change the B color to red. Okay, but right now nothing is visible yet, because right now it's drawn under the grass. And to see it, we need to move it a little lower using the Z offset we just made. And now you can see it. We have a red shadow, but here I can see we have small gaps. We need to find the right value again so it fits the pixel grid. Well, not 310, but maybe 311. Maybe even 312. Okay, 312 looks good. Finally we can change the red color to the color of the ground we had. And it was 59 3D29, and the shadow effect is done. So today we created 3 shaders, ground, grass, and mix of ground and grass, which can also be configured if you go here to the grass mask settings and move these offsets. I will leave links to the shaders in the video description. And that's all for today. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this.